With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Monday, 28th July. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US and EU have reached a trade deal, Thailand and Cambodia have held peace talks, and Russia has opened direct flights to North Korea. So firstly, the United States and the EU on Sunday reached a trade deal ending a months-long standoff. Ahead of the talk, Trump said they gave it a 50-50 chance on Friday for a deal to be reached with the EU. He said that, according to Trump, currently the EU goods would face 10% tariffs with levies of 25% on cars and car parts, but that rate would not apply to steel and aluminium, which is being taxed at 50%. Trump also said the bloc had agreed to purchase $750 billion worth of energy from the US, as well as $600 billion more in additional investments. Ursula von der Leyen added that the baseline tariff of 15% on imported EU goods would apply to cars, semiconductors, and pharmaceutical goods. At the start of the meeting, Trump said that fairness was the main remaining sticking point. So what? They both seem very positive for a deal that doesn't seem to have moved very far from the starting point, and also doesn't seem like a very good deal for the EU and is likely to reduce trade significantly. Yeah, it seems very overly positive for what is essentially still quite significant tariffs on basically everything coming out of the EU to the US. This could seriously damage some EU economies that rely on trade with the United States. So it'll be interesting to see what happens long term with this, and whether this is actually a good move by the US to rebuild some of their own industry. We'll have to see. And next, the leaders of Thailand and Cambodia will meet in Malaysia on Monday, today, in an attempt to negotiate an end to the 4 days of deadly border clashes, officials confirmed on Sunday. The talks between acting Thai Prime Minister and the Cambodian Prime Minister will happen in Kuala Lumpur and will be mediated by the Malaysian Premier in his capacity as the chair of ASEAN. A Thai government spokesperson confirmed the president's participation in the talks in order to discuss peace efforts in the region. Cambodian's Prime Minister said earlier on Sunday that the country had agreed to pursue an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. At least 34 people have been killed and around 200,000 displaced in fighting between the two countries over temples in the region. Earlier, US President Donald Trump claimed that he was to be credited with the planned peace talks on Sunday, ahead of the meeting with the EU Commissioner that we just talked about. Previously, Trump had threatened to impose tariffs on the two countries if they failed to stop fighting and agreed to trade deals. Unsure how that fucking relates, but alright, buddy. So what? It's unsurprising that Cambodia is kind of leading the charge for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. They seem to be extremely outmatched when it comes to this conflict, with almost all imagery and videos coming out show the Thai military being pretty modern, pretty advanced with good equipment, and seem to be quite well trained up against the Cambodians, who generally appear to be quite under-equipped and under-trained, and also in very low numbers in comparison to the Thais. They're also outmatched when it comes to things like air power, which has seemed to play quite a significant part in this conflict. Interestingly, while we've seen some use of drones, I thought we would see more. I thought we'd see a pretty rapid switching to similar tactics that we've seen in Ukraine, but this hasn't happened. We've stuck to a pretty traditional style of fighting, using artillery and MLRS to essentially just lob shots at each other over the border, and also very limited attempts to actually cross the border and take ground, which kind of shows to me that Thailand doesn't really want more land out of this. They kind of just want to defend what they already have. So yeah, it seems likely that the peace talks will be pretty successful, as Cambodia doesn't really have much to bargain with, and Thailand will probably just want what they already have. It's quite possible that they'll push for Cambodia to agree to the current borders, and that could end the conflict pretty decisively. And lastly, the first direct passenger flights from Moscow to Pyongyang since the mid-1990s have been set up on Sunday evening. The 8-hour, 6,500-kilometer flight flight by Russian air carrier Nordwind Airlines was due to take off from Moscow's airport at 7 p.m. local time. The 404 places on the aircraft were quickly sold out, with Russian state media claiming the tickets cost 44,700 rubles, or 480 euros. However, the AFP news agency reported that 9 tickets were still available on the airline's website on Sunday morning. Russia's Civil Aviation Authority has granted the airline permission to operate flights between the two capital cities twice a week, although the Russian transport minister said the flights would operate only once a month to begin with in order to help build a stable demand. A return to flights from Pyongyang to Moscow is scheduled for Tuesday, according to Russian state news agency TASS. So what? It's unsurprising to see that Russia is pushing for tourists to head to North Korea. North Korea recently opened a beach resort specifically for Russian tourists, and probably Chinese as well. And now this is another good way of kind of strengthening their relationship and also pushing for further bilateral relations. However, it's unlikely that it's going to overtake popular places such as Turkey and Thailand, which are very popular with Russian tourists, even before the war. But I guess, who doesn't want some North Korean beer? Thank you for watching. That has been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!